with 10-year-old girls. The government fights that you can't have a GMO label on a product to know that it's been spliced with other plants and animals or grows its own pesticide inside it so bugs won't eat it. This is amazing. EPA, FDA doesn't want you to know when there's bisphenol A in products and is blocking a ban of it. But at least people know what BPA is now. It is so over the top what we're facing. So coming up, new invasions by proxy of Syria, calling people with rocket launchers and plastic explosives peaceful protesters, and run by Al-Qaeda on record. It's on record Al-Qaeda's running it. Al-Qaeda works for the bankers who kidnapped America. People go, well, what do you mean? Al-Qaeda attacked us. What do you mean our government runs Al-Qaeda? No. The criminal element that runs our country runs Al-Qaeda. You heard Colonel Schaefer a month ago say that Anwar al-Awlaki, number 3 in Al-Qaeda, some argue number 2, is an FBI asset. I mean, that's admitted, AP, Reuters, Fox, but just think about that. The guy on TV speaking for Al-Qaeda works for the U.S. government. And I'm supposed to not talk about 9/11 being an inside job. By inside job, inside criminal elements at the banker level, the New World Order level, wanted to take our liberties, wanted to set up a police state, wanted to federalize everything, wanted to bring in Agenda 21, and they did it. And they use Al-Qaeda everywhere. I'm not saying Al-Qaeda doesn't exist. I'm saying they're the bad guys. And they work for the New World Order. All right, we've got, when we come back, I'm getting into our top story. Our top story, straight ahead. They're coming for the guns. They've now openly announced it. Obama's coming for your guns.
Folks, Iran.
Okay, you knew it was coming. The NRA, that's normally pretty milquetoast when it comes to defending the Second Amendment, loyal opposition of a sort at the top. They've gotten a little bit better over the last few years, thanks to Gun Owners of America pointing it out and some big fights on their board, but that's another issue. The NRA, National Rifle Association, came out a few months ago and said their internal analysis and lobbying sources show that Obama, and his memos say this as well, his promise to Handgun Policy Center, Violence Policy Center, all those different groups, Handgun Control Incorporated, their analysis shows that he does plan to try to ban semi-autos from manufacture and sale, not just from manufacture. And, of course, you know they're buying up 400 and something million hollow point bullets here, another 300 million other types of rounds there. Every federal agency and state agency are arming to the teeth against the public because it's not our government. It works for the global mafia, the mega banks that have seized the country. Does that mean the average person in those bureaucracies is bad? No. Just like the average German soldier was not a bad person. But who's on top? Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, sworn to destroy this country's sovereignty, all on record shipping narcotics into the country and being above the law. Laundering the money, owning the aircraft, Bloomberg, AP, nobody gets in trouble. Wells Fargo, Wachovia. Government shipping guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment. In all the federal court rulings, narcotics trafficking. Their informants come in all the time and say, I was told to bring in these 10 tons. The government comes in and says, that's right, please drop the case. Of course, it's $500 billion a year in drugs coming in alone. Of course, the big banks that run the country and run the military and run the FBI are running it. The only people they're allowed to bust are the small potato people. The people that happen to have routes to sneak it in that cuts in on the big mafia's money. That's it. When they bust your kid using illegal drugs, they send them to college, prison college, HIV, hepatitis, tuberculosis college. When they get out, they're covered with tats head to foot. They know how to be a good punk now and a good informant to go lie on good citizens and send them to prison. That's why we have the biggest prison population in the world. We have a mafia that runs America. I'm sorry, I'm digressing from our top news here. I told you that it was coming. NRA has warned that Obama does plan this in his second administration, like he told Medvedev. He said, I can do whatever I want once I'm reelected. It doesn't matter because the guy running against him, who's the preeminent, Republican or the heir apparent, the media is saying. Mitt Romney's been for victim disarmament and abortion. Obama administration exploits Trayvon Martin shooting to push anti-gun, race-baiting rhetoric. From Florida to Minnesota, from Wisconsin to Texas, black youths are now mugging and beating up white people and Hispanics. And when it's in the news, you've got to fight to find out that they're racial attacks. Because, again, the system creates the myth of this wanton white-on-black crime wave. They create this giant myth that all of this is going on. Then people think, well, it's my right to go to the local fair or go to the local event and beat up anybody who isn't black. And then when it happens, it'll be buried in the news that police say that the youth appear to be black and that it's racially motivated. But it's buried in the articles that this is going on. And so why would the system do this? They want us at each other's throats big time. That's what all this is about. And as the depression gets worse and worse, the bankers don't want us aware of what they've done, unifying against their federal takeover force of the TSA, unifying against their internet censorship. No, they want domestic unrest. The last time the globalists manipulated this, with the media's help in the late 1960s, major cities burned, mainly black areas, destroying their own infrastructure. So the NAACP is begging people not to follow the media's hype on this. And it was used to pass the '68 Gun Control Act. When we come back, I'm going to break down this article by Paul Joseph Watson and, of course, yours truly, Alex Jones. We've got huge news on a bunch of other fronts as well. It is a news overload today, and I'm going to give the number out and take your phone calls. Stay with us.
We're on the mark.
All right, I'm going to give the number out here. Wide open telephones on any of the issues I've raised or any points you want to bring up. Just have your comment, your question ready, because I'm going to try to move to the next person as quickly as possible. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Here, again, are some of the headlines at Infowars.com right now. Ron Paul says GOP doesn't care about presidents who assassinate American citizens. Says that Republicans are in a race to see who can butcher the Bill of Rights and Constitution quicker. He said that on national television. We have that video up there on the site. Also, Obama administration exploits Trayvon shootings to push anti-gun, race-baiting rhetoric. And they're openly saying they may try to now start restricting the Second Amendment. Supreme Court rules strip searches okay for minor offenses. Again, Supreme Court rules strip searches okay for minor offenses. Continuing, Arizona passes sweeping internet censorship bill. Massive report. Breaking at Infowars.com. Homeland Security targets anti-abortion activist as domestic terrorist. Huge report. Infowars.com. Another report by Mike Adams. He concurs with my analysis of the Hunger Games. A glimpse of our own future if the cancerous growth of government is not checked. Another report, environmental toxins may be causing mass cancer wave. And the $15 trillion party, article by the Economic Collapse. All of that and more at Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.com. We're also going to premiere here on the radio a short report on Edward Bernays and another important report coming up today. So stay with us for that. Barack Obama, on record, told his cousin Odinga, a politician in Kenya, that he should stage riots, back when Obama was a senator, in Kenya, to dispute an election between Muslims and Christians in that Muslim-Christian nation, predominantly Christian, so that they would give him a slot in government. Odinga did that, and they created the prime ministership for him. The left is not the left. The right is not the right. These are all facsimiles in a controlled debate. But what they've always had planned in this country is playing the population off against each other. Divide and conquer. Now, Biden has gone on CBS News, and we have clips of that and links to that in the article at Infowars.com over the weekend. And he said previous to that on Friday as well. Now, two statements that they have to look at the self-defense right and repeal people having the right to defend themselves, which is repealing common law. In England, they arrest you if you defend yourself in your own house, even with a butcher knife. They energetically go after you because you've got to be taught to be a total jellyfish, because the instincts of the criminal government are to protect their criminal brethren on the ground, but more importantly, never send the message that you could fight back. Never send the message that you could stand up for yourself. You've seen the cases of, one of the Beatles' wife broke a lamp over a guy in the house stabbing him, and the police almost arrested him for it. Or people have stabbed intruders and gone to jail in England, or been robbed 3 times and shoot them with a shotgun and go to jail. So that's what they're pushing now, and Obama has got all this civil unrest legislation in place all over the country. From New York to Minnesota, they're putting nighttime curfews in some areas of Arkansas because of gang violence. They've got daytime curfews for adults as well, and just set up checkpoints. They've declared a civil emergency. I've played those newscasts here. And that's what this is all about. I mean, every channel of TV hyping race, hyping attacks, hyping this. Whether Trayvon was in the right or the wrong, or Zimmerman was in the right or the wrong, you got black neighbors that said they saw Trayvon on top of Zimmerman. But the media hardly shows that. ABC News has an interview. NBC has one. I've seen it one time. The police, that's what they say is in the report, is that's why they didn't arrest him, was that Trayvon was attacking him. Neighbors say the guy's nose was bandaged and was bleeding. Zimmerman. None of that matters, okay? The point is the system has seized on this. And you've got the White House, MSNBC, the new Black Panther Party, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all hyping civil unrest and violence, getting everybody hyped up. But you got the NAACP leadership coming out and saying this is divisive, this is going to cause problems, this is going to cause all sorts of racial divisions. We do not need burning cities. And then I get these comments and emails and oh, ha, 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 Alex, you're just scared we're going to come get you in a race war and burn down your house. Listen, that is so childish and stupid. Whenever they have these riots, it burns down the neighborhoods and the businesses so that afterwards nobody comes in and rebuilds. And it destroys the economic viability. I'm a pro-gun person, but where I live in the country, there's so much gunfire in the little ranchettes around me that it sounds like World War III. It's annoying to get up at 7 a.m. and like somebody's firing, sounds like 500 rounds of ammo, and then at noon it's happening. Just constant firing. I will assure you there won't be any rioting out where I live. I will assure you nobody's going to come there and racially do anything. Will whites get beat up going to the mall? Yes. They are right now. Every day the reports are pouring out. Media never says it's racial until it comes out in court later. Are whites being attacked at the fair? You bet. Old ladies, old men especially, I guess. If they weren't anti-black before, they are now. And so they're entering a new phase where it's not going to be whites all bleeding heart and whites all, I'm evil, tax me a whole bunch, take my rights, I want to prove I'm not racist. And now it's going to segue, if the globalists have their way, until a true divided country. The system doesn't want people